In recent years, with the explosion of artificial intelligence systems, it seems like there is more and more tendency for people to simplify and reduce how humans get to know things about the real world. And you hear things like it's all about computation, it's nothing but information, and all these different simplifying sentences. So in this video, we're going to clarify how deep and complex human knowledge is. And we're also going to delve into this topic from John Vervaeke's model of the 4P's of knowing, which is a very interesting way to look at human knowledge and how humans actually get to know things. So there's the very obvious aspect of knowledge, or how we get to know things, which is knowing things by facts or rules. Because we have the capacity as humans to abstract things and understand rules and concepts and facts, we can know things through actually conceptualizing those facts or rules or concepts, let's say. So this is the very obvious side of knowledge, which is usually an overrated angle of how we get to know things. And John Vervaeke actually calls this aspect of knowing propositional knowledge. Now, this first P of the 4P's model of knowing is probably the most observable one to us, since we also nowadays see it in artificial systems. And it's also the most explicit part of the 4P's. Now, moving on to the second P, which is probably also very important, is the procedural knowing, which involves how we do things rather than what are things. So propositional knowledge is probably the what, and procedural knowledge is the how. So no matter how much you have a theoretical knowledge of how to ride a bike or how to swim, you cannot actually do those things until you put your foot on the water, so to speak, and know how to do things. So that's the procedural type of knowing, which humans also have or integrate in their knowledge base, let's say. And this could also be called, in colloquial terms, practical knowledge, let's say. And it's obviously complementary to the propositional knowledge. Now, the third P, which is almost like an integration between the two, the know what and the know how, or the propositional or the procedural, is the perspectival knowledge. And perspectival knowledge is almost how you can take both of those perspectives, the propositional and procedural, and how you implement it in the world. So even if you have a lot of theoretical knowledge, where to apply it, in what context, and how to perceive the world and actually integrate that knowledge is also a knowledge in and of itself. So from that perspective, the perspectival is almost like the bird's eye view on both of those previously mentioned P's, let's say. And it seems like it's an underrated part of knowledge, where it's almost like an implicit part that we do not actually usually make explicit. So we talk about theoretical knowledge and practical knowledge, but we do not talk about how we can integrate both of those things in the real world, let's say. Now, the last P of the 4P's model of knowing is participatory knowledge. And this one is probably the most underrated one of them all. And participatory knowledge is the process of creating knowledge or knowing things through the dynamic interaction of people with each other, whether it's through activities that communities do, or whether it's through the interaction of people with each other. And it's most likely an implicit type of knowledge creation, which is usually underrated, and its credit is usually given to the other P's. So having laid out the 4P's model of knowing, it seems like there are a lot of many different benefits we can extract from this model. And one of them is that we should broaden our knowledge creation process rather than constraining it to one of the P's without actually knowing. And it seems like cultivating all these 4P's at the same time would be the optimal way to go when it comes to learning or knowing new things. And I also think one other benefit that could be extracted from this 4P's model of knowing is that the introspective thought process is not the same as the expressive thought process. It seems like a lot of people think that they can reach the horizon of their thought process through introspection and thinking and reading. But what the 4P's model of knowing is telling us is that in order to reach the horizon of your thought process, you also have to express your thoughts as well, whether through writing or speaking. So if you have a certain topic you're learning about, thinking about it and reading about it is great, but it's not actually sufficient to know the topic in a full, holistic manner. And it seems like the expressive part of the human knowledge creation process is useful for the world and also useful for the agent who is actually sharing that information. So it seems like the expressive part of the knowledge creation is as important as the introspective part of the knowledge creation process. So this concludes our video for sharing some of the complexities of the knowledge creation process of humans, or even how we get to know things. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you found this video beneficial, and see you next time.